Welcome to the Get Real with King Arthur show. John Milton said, before writing Paradise Lost, "Fit audience, let me find the few." Now, I want to congratulate you who watch the show, because I know there are lots of entertainment and bizarre things and whatnot you could watch, and you watch a serious show. I hope it's not solemn, but serious anyway. Now, I'm still on quantum theory, believe it or not. And last time, I mentioned that at least some of the scientists are materialists. And so they approach mankind and his problems, knowledge of the universe, like a parent who's told to care for the shoes of his son. Well, he says, I don't bother with them because I've cut off my feet. So when scientists, some of them, not all of them, say, well, we won't deal with ultimate reason or cause or meaning. Oh, there's no meaning, it's just floating through the universe. We don't know. And so last time we talked about high possibility. Maybe you don't know for sure the meaning of the universe. You can't measure it with a stick. But you can live as if the universe had meaning, and the highest meaning. Because if you live thinking that the world is meaningless, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The world may well be meaningless. Now, I admire scientists who dedicate their lives to finding more about the material universe. And I understand why they are leery of metaphysics, religion, and whatnot, because so long mankind didn't study, they just dreamt or something, jumped. And they want to avoid that. But I want to suggest there is another path to finding truth, meaningful truth. I've been studying Shelley's Hymn to Intellectual Beauty. What a poem. And he says at the end of the poem, you know that never joy illumined my brow, apart from the hope that thou would free the world from its dark slavery. Sometimes I think the romantics are all flowers and sweetness and light. And so we're going to deal with man. Some scientists even ignore consciousness. And we're going to deal with finding truth. How does one find the truth? Well, I believe, and again, Thoreau said that I require of every man that he state where he's from and what he thinks. And so I do that. I try not to be sermonic. It's what I stand, where I think. Anyway, I believe that as opposed to the theory that I think, therefore I am, I believe I ought, and it ought, therefore I am. Like C.S. Lewis, I believe that the basics, whatever, fire in the belly, is oughtness. And so I believe that if you're searching for truth, you ought to follow oughtness. Now, I've told these stories before, so I shall tell them again. I was leaving the train station in Chicago years ago, having been at the Modern Language Association, and I was seated and looking at a book on existentialism. And a man about my own age sat next to me. "Oh," he said, "you're interested in existentialism?" "Well, yes." "Well," he said, "I've tried to find meaning, a faith in the universe. I've tried everything. It's impossible." I said, "Did you ever hear the path of walking in the light?" He'd never heard of it. Well, I said, and I was rude. I didn't mean to be rude. I don't usually do such things. I said, "In every area of your life, are you doing what is right?" The temperature dropped 60 degrees. He said, "No." That was the last word we spoke together. No, I could have handled it better. It was a very rude thing to ask him, but on the other hand, he's the one that asked, "How do I find meaning?" I have a couple of other little stories. When I was teaching at the prep school, I had a great teacher friend, Jack Dadgelitis, and a student had held Jack Dadgelitis as his favorite teacher, not me. So we're reading the Brothers Karamazov, and this student got interested in meaning. So he went to Jack, and he said, "I don't know where to begin to try to find meaning." So Jack goes to the wall and pulls down this big chart. Here are big colors: Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Christianity, whatnot, going through time. So his eyes got big. The student said, "Where do I start?" Jack said, "Go see Siemens." I'm glad I had that, at least that reputation, at least I was interested. And I wasn't prepared for him. I could have done better. But I said, "You begin by doing what you know is right already. This is the search, not some intellectual thing. Now I got to find the answer. You begin by doing right." There was a sect of Christianity called the Gnostics, and they felt that the path to finding God and truth was knowledge. Oh, especially secret knowledge. Oh, they knew things that the other people didn't know. And the philosophers, especially the modern philosophers, have come to the fact, to the truth that's already in Scripture. Man through wisdom knew not God. And now, the study of God and ultimates we call metaphysics. Now, they don't talk about metaphysics. We don't talk about shoes on the feet because you cut the feet off. We just won't talk about it. It'll go away. Well, it's not meaningful. Why? Who cares whether we're floating through the universe without meaning or purpose? And so I don't think he was ready for that. When you take the path to truth, it's going to be an expensive one, no light, frivolous search. The truth about yourself. In fact, in the Brothers Karamazov, it says, above all, don't lie to yourself. Are you really want to know the truth, and yet you're living in a lie? I had another little incident I'd like to tell. I had a student, he's at the prep school, they were 18-year-old men. And I checked them in at night when I first was a proctor. And they had 15 minutes to talk and then lights out. But they wanted to talk more, so I entered the room. There were 3 in the room, and they said, "Oh, Mr. Siemens, Bob here has written poetry." Well, of course I had to say, "Well, I want to see it." That would keep the lights on a little longer, you know. So I pulled out the drawer, and there's a poem about a space vehicle or bombers or something. And then there's a poem called The Agnostic's Prayer. And it went like this. Oh, dear God, if there is a God, I try so hard to find you. And the next line was pure genius. Forgive the untruth. I went across the city to the public library in Washington. I was extremely busy to give him a book to help him. He'd never even opened it. I try so hard to find you. And the path to truth is going to take all. It's going to take your life controlled by morality and truth the best you know how. And so the modern philosophy has said the same thing. We give up on metaphysics. No, don't talk about metaphysics. We can't answer. No, you can't answer it. The answer was given long ago. You don't find truth through wisdom. Scripture says the wayfaring man, though a fool, shall not err therein. It's not for the agnostic, high-browed intellect. That's not saying intellect is wrong. It's just, it is limited, as they admit. Is there another path? I believe there is, but it is an expensive path. Take it. Thanks for listening.